Welcome to another episode of the Kingdom Housing Podcast, where we interview real people making a real difference in their cities. On today's episode, we have Evie, who not only is making a difference in her city, but has unlicensed group home, licensed group home, and a bunch of other setups in her state and across the country. Let's dive into the episode. Evie, welcome in. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you in Florida?
Doing well, fantastic. Really excited to connect with you. I've been seeing you on TikTok primarily, and you're always talking about something different. It seems like you got so many different things going on. So, if you don't mind, for the people who don't know you, introduce yourself and share a little bit about what it is that you do.
Hey everyone, my name is Evie, Evie Valporto de Sa. Tried growing up with that last name and having dyslexia in kindergarten. And I originally got into the field because this has always been something I've been passionate about. When I was 8 years old, I was diagnosed with Asperger's, ADHD, dyslexia, dysgraphia, and it was tough, right? So I was like in the special needs classes, but I wasn't like special ed. It was weird because of my different disabilities. So I got my first part-time job when I was 13. I was making like $75 for 4 hours in the summertime, taking care of this one autistic girl who was super low function, well, semi low functioning, high behaviors, and her parents just fell in love with me taking care of her while they would go to work. And that was like my first ever, I guess, entrepreneur gig at 13 years old. And then from there, I joined a lot of more functions in my middle school, in my high school, and I opened up my first young adult shelter when I was 18.
Let's go.
I have a lot of cousins that were in the foster care system, and they didn't have anywhere to go, and we would house them in my grandma's house. And so from there, I took time off because I got pregnant and, dealt with a lot of postpartum of it. And around my 25-year range, I opened up my first ever unlicensed group home, and it just took off from there. I haven't stopped since.
Go, let's go. Wow. What an incredible story. That's awesome. And did I hear you say that you opened your first business venture at your grandma's house when you were 18?
Yes, I did. So at the time, I didn't even know like group homes, the terminology,
Right.
nothing. I just dove in and I utilized my grandma's house. She was barely there. She was already retired and she was traveling. And I took in a few of my cousins that were aged out of foster care. And I
Mhm.
took in one of my friends who were going through some domestic violence with her family. And we housed them. So I've always been involved in like dealing with like the homeless population since I was a kid. I used to volunteer when I was younger in church and stuff like that. So it's always been a dream to like open up my own like kid orphanage and my little assistant livings for people with disabilities. I just didn't know the right terminology. So now today I know all the terminology and I pretty much dived into the unlicensed and licensed realm of every population you could think of. So it's been pretty awesome.
That's beautiful. And kudos to you too. I think what at least for me, what I heard was how powerful it was that you at 18 years old already had like a entrepreneurial spirit. A lot of people I connected with, sometimes it comes later on in their life where they're like, you know what, this 9 to 5 stuff isn't for me, but you had it at 18 and you already started your first business. So yeah, that's awesome. So 25, opened up the first unlicensed group home. Tell us a little bit about where's the business now? What are you doing now?
So the first unlicensed group home, I'm going to be very transparent. It failed. I opened it up in the middle of nowhere in Liberty County, and it was a crazy experience. I didn't have any clients. I got one client, super crazy, didn't know how to read a face sheet. Didn't know anything. So instead of giving up, I relaunched and I started doing host homes, right? So, like, my background experience in the work field is human resources, case management, working with license group homes, doing with billing and stuff like that. So, I knew where to get the clients for like the license homes for a host
Mhm.
home. So,
What is a host home?
I'm glad you asked. So, a host home is when you work under another provider's license, right? And you could do this for mental health, for IDD, and IDD special needs, those of you who don't know. And you could do this for veterans, for seniors. My passion has always been the IDD, hence I'm autistic, but high functioning. So, we opened up our first host home in my house. I used this term, I thugged it out because I did not want to go back to working my behavior technician job or my DSP job. So I moved my grandma, my husband, and my three kids all in our room. We all shared this little ass room. And
Wow.
then the other three rooms, I put a host home client. And what was so cool about it is this first home was bringing in $10,000 a month and it was a stipend. So it's tax free. And
Mm,
then from there, obviously I quit my job at this time. I was like, done. Like, I'm not going back.
yeah.
Right. From there, I worked, it was more like a volunteer job. I wanted to learn how to do day hab nonprofit and ISS. So I volunteer job at this one nonprofit. And then I learned how to do day hab, job coaching, all this other stuff. And I brought it in to my host home to service stack and I did my own offsite day hab. And then I got to my second home in the same little town I was living in. And then I got offered this amazing opportunity. I met with other real estate investors, which at the time, looking back, was like just a crazy decision to make because I was 25 or 26 around the San Antonio time that we invested in San Antonio. And they're like 19, 21, 22-year olds that we bought six homes together in San Antonio to expand. And now we're at 12 homes in San Antonio. So just a lot was happening at once. And yeah, so that's where we're at now. We have 12 homes in San Antonio. We have two in Cleveland. And then we have a duplex in Columbus, Georgia. And then one home in Atlanta, Georgia. One home in Wisconsin. And then two homes in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
That's amazing. Kudos to you guys. A lot to digest there. So definitely want to dive deeper into certain topics, but let's go back to the beginning. So unlicensed group home one, you said it failed. You learned why it failed. Wasn't the best location. Probably focus more on like the property side of things instead of marketing like initially, which happens sometimes. And
Mm.
then after that, did you go? You went straight into the host homes, it sounds like, at your own place. You said, "Hey, family, I figured out a way out for us, but we're all gonna have to share a one room for a little bit." How long did you guys end up sharing that one room for? Because I can't imagine.
It was about like a couple of months. And then at the same time too, it was crazy because, we were going through this other house I was purchasing. And then at the same time, I was dealing with the home purchases in San Antonio. So I was really barely home in the beginning, which kind of sucked because I have three kids and I barely saw them. But I
Mhm.
mean, now I'm home with them all the time. Like my 4-year-old son, he's autistic, and he did this thing a couple of weeks ago that I thought was so funny. This one little girl asked him at the park, "What does your mom do for a living?" And he's like, "Oh, she's a stay-at-home mom. She takes care of me." And I'm like, this little boy did it. But it's because he's with me all the time and I have my home office that now I delegate all the tasks that I need to do. So I don't have to be going back and forth to all these homes.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good problem to have. And it's good that he sees you that way. It means you're getting to spend a lot of time with him. I have people who have come to me and struggled having different conversations with their family members or maybe getting like a husband or a wife on board with their vision, let's say. How did you go about, and you don't have to get too far into it if you don't want to, but just curious if you could walk us through how you initiated the conversation with your husband to saying like, hey, we're gonna move our grandmother in, we're all gonna share this room, and then also having that conversation of, for the next few months, year, I'm in grind mode. I need you to be okay with that. I'm not going to be home as much, but I'm building something that's going to be able to out for our family. How did those conversations go?
I felt like it was way easier for me because my husband and I, we went to high school together, right?
Right.
So we started dating in
High school
college.
sweethearts.
We're not high school sweethearts. So, funny
Oh
story,
no.
his best friend was my boyfriend in high school, but then his best friend screwed me over senior year.
Plot
And
twist.
yeah, plot twist. So then, like, the freshman year of going into college, him and I linked up, and the rest is history. So he always knew like what I wanted to do. Like, he knew I hated working for people because I was given an opportunity when I was 17, when I was in high school, through a co-op program where I worked for this major oil and gas company. It's Cameron. It's owned by Schlumberger.
Okay.
So I worked in the oil and gas field in HR in corporate America at a very young age to, like, I think 22, 23. And being autistic, I study people's behavior and I realized nobody's happy there. Right. And I'm like, damn, these people making like 500K a year, they're balling, but they're not happy. So I wanted to do something more purposeful. So he already knew that. Like, he knew that I wanted to do my own business. I've always been like that, business oriented, and he has been running assistant livings in the past for over 10 years. So he was already down. He was all like, we got this in the bag. I already know how to do this because he knows how to do assistant livings, right?
Nice.
So it wasn't like a shock for him. He's just like, okay. He's very nonchalant, easygoing guy. So I got lucky with that. My grandma, she's a little shit. I love her, but oh my gosh, she is something else. This lady here. And she, to this day, she's still one of my hardest residents to deal with because I have her living in one of my senior livings now. And this lady here, she'd be like stealing our socks,
Shout
hiding
out
food
grandma.
in the drawers. Like, grandma, come on, Nana. Like, so it was more dealing with her because she's always on some other level.
And she's like, hey, I built this. I was a part of this.
Yeah, so she helped out a lot in with the kids, helping watch them at that time. Her health was really good at that time.
No, that's awesome, and it's beautiful that you're able to, as she's starting to, maybe decline a little bit, you have a
Yeah.
resource ready to go for her, so she's still kind of within the family, within the business. I love that. My grandmother, I don't do assisted living, as you know, but my grandmother, she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's before she passed away, and that was my first time learning about assisted living facilities. So we went to go kind of explore like one of those larger facilities to where there's
Yeah.
hundreds of people in it, and it just didn't feel as homey or as
Mhm.
everybody was getting the attention or that they needed. And we ended up finding an assisted living home and a residential home for her. There's only a few people there. The staff was there most of the time with her, and it was the same people, and she just had an amazing rest of her years, until she passed away at that home. So grateful
Oh.
for assisted living homes like yourself to assist loved ones and making sure that they are still getting attention. Some people in my unlicensed homes right now, everyone lives independent,
Mhm.
and there has been times where individuals maybe are like getting close to not being able to do certain things on their own. So I've
Yeah.
had to have some tough conversations, and they're like, no, like I don't want to go to an assisted living facility where no one's gonna know me, and I'll be depressed. So I get to tell them about people like you who have good home setup. So kudos to you. So you mentioned like a bunch of different homes in different areas. How many homes in total are you at right now? I missed the total number.
Around 20.
20. Let's go. And they are across, is it 3 states or 4 states?
It's 4 states. So Texas, Wisconsin, Georgia, Florida. And we're working on expanding more. I'm just right now I have this really good connection with God where I had a stroke back in 2021 era, and it made me pause a lot of my work. And one of the things I made a promise with him, like, hey, if you let me walk again, if you let me regain my functionability of my right side,
Mm.
I'll forever serve you. I'll serve the people who are like me, who, because, when you're first starting off, I didn't have a lot of money at all, right? So I was in a really crappy position. So right now, I'm focusing on expanding more of my nonprofit side and doing more of homeless outreach with children, single moms, pregnancy, and low income seniors, low income IDD. So I did this crazy thing, and my husband's very supportive, thank God, where we converted part of our house into a shelter for the community. And
Wow.
my back office, I now have a food pantry, and I also have a closet for people to come to get help, because we're the only type of assistance like this in our county, and our county is very low income. And there's been plenty of times where I wanted to get out of this place, because if you're not a certain color, it ain't gonna work, right? So, but God wants us to stay here to keep building, to help people. So,
Amen. God is good. I love that.
yeah.
I love that. Thanks for sharing that. What is your setup with managing the different homes across different states? Can you walk us through a little bit of your operations and how you're able to manage across different states lines?
Yeah, of course. So I'll start off with San Antonio, right? So in San Antonio, for our unlicensed homes, I have house managers, and then I have one main, like, supervisor over it, right? Where they'll get back to me. We have weekly meetings, we check in, we also have group texts, and I have access to all the cameras. So they're really the bread and butter. And what is so awesome about this is, when we first started in Cleveland and in San Antonio, we first started with the low income, like people who didn't have funding or had lost their funding. So a lot of these people have been with us since day one, and they don't want to leave. Like, they're like, how can I stay in this organization? How can I, give back to what y'all gave us to me? Like, so, like, one of the main supervisors over all the homes, he was one of the people we first took in that had nothing. Like, he lost his funding. His wife kept all his stuff. He was a vet, and now he's the main one helping all of us run San Antonio. And then
Love it.
another thing I started doing as well is I started subcontracting out some of the homes where, well, we own all the real estate, right? That was like a big important thing for me. Through the for profit, we own all the real estate. And then through certain parts of the nonprofit, because we have our nonprofit and our for profit. So through our for profits, we like to subcontract it out, where we'll work with other people who want to become group home owners but are still semi new. So we'll do like an 80-20 split, or they'll get 80% of it and then I get 20%. But we're still overseeing it to make sure the functionality of it is still running correctly. Because we want to grow with them as well, right? We want to go purchase the real estate so they could run the homes.
Very cool. Let me run that back, make sure I got it all. So you currently have home set up in San Antonio. You have a house supervisor at each location, and then you have, we call it like on the side like an operations manager that oversees. And what's cool is your individual that's an operations manager was one of your first residents. So he got to transition all the way up to
Yeah.
where now he's probably making good income for himself.
Oh, he got his brand new truck,
Let's go.
living life good. He even got a girlfriend now. So he's come a long way. And I think what's cool is he was able to see us transition from doing all this for profit, because I'm still semi new to the nonprofit realm. And now he's seeing us, oh, y'all have a nonprofit now, right? So one of the big things I do is, if they make over 5,000, they're going to my for profit. If they make under 5,000, they're going to my nonprofit.
Makes sense. And what did you do differently this time with setting up the unlicensed homes in San Antonio that allowed it to succeed that you didn't do that first time you tried to open one?
Oh, I marketed first, right? So, like, before we purchased these six homes, I was marketing already in San Antonio, because I know these six homes were already in view. Like, it was like a 3-month deal process to get these homes. Because one, we had to find investors willing to invest, right? I never use my own money when I buy homes. And then two, I have no idea like certain parts of San Antonio. I grew up in Houston, but I noticed there was such a huge need in San Antonio. So we grew very quickly. Like, our homes weren't empty that long, maybe a month for one of them. And that's just because it's like, okay, we fill up one home, get our structure going, get our policies and procedures going. It was crazy the first home because we're still all learning. And I'm like the oldest of the pack.
Yeah.
Right. So, and then we were also in the back end opening up an assistant living and not knowing what the hell we're doing. So it was just like a lot of craziness, but it ended up working out great.
Yeah, sometimes in business you gotta walk in faith a little bit. Can't claim this line, but I always say, done is better than perfect because perfect's never done. It's not gonna be
For
perfect.
real.
Just start taking steps. God will open up more doors as you continue to walk in it as well. So I love that. What is the process or the operation side for some of your other homes outside of San Antonio? So actually, before we do that, let's get into what did you call it, to where I think of it as like the McDonald's mindset, right? To
Yes.
where you are owning the real estate and then renting it out to someone. Well, it sounds like you're helping them get their group home up and running. What did you call that?
So it's an 80-20 split, right? It's subcontracting.
Subcontracting. Perfect. And are you doing that for people who are looking to open up a licensed group home or unlicensed group home or both?
That was for the unlicensed. For the licensed group home method, what I'm doing now is I'll purposely open up a licensed home. So in Texas, it's a community based agency, and I'll open up an agency. I've done this twice already. It's been very lucrative. And I'll fill up the homes because I already know what to do. I already know the loopholes, how to get the clients, how to fill it up. And then I'll sell the agency part to a bigger for profit company. They'll buy the agency, they'll buy the 4 homes of the clients, because in Texas, it's really simple math. If you have 4 licensed homes, but 4 clients in each at level ones, meaning the highest functionability there is, you're revenuing over $1 million. Like,
Hmm.
there's no questions asked. That's part of the Medicaid waiver. So these corporations will come in and buy it, right? Part of the agreement is they have to sign at least a 5 to 10 year long-term lease agreement where they have to keep the houses with us.
Nice.
And our real estate
Nice.
company makes money off of that, right? We have different real estate companies. We have our typical LLC, and then we have our corporations where I have other investors invest to buy these homes. It definitely is still a learning process because I've made a lot of errors, but it's getting better as we grow.
Yeah, and you're learning as you go, which I think is awesome. And you have the type of personality to where you're like, hey, we'll figure it out. And that's why one of the reasons why I'm sure you've been successful along your many journeys. And I'm sure that everything hasn't been perfect. Can you think of a time, or maybe something that happened to where you almost were like, all right, I'm done. I might have to walk away from this.
Oh my gosh. I feel like that sometimes with my unlicensed homes, just because it's hard when you see the licensed homes generating at least $5,000 per client, right? And then you look at it and you compare it to the unlicensed homes where they're paying like 750 for a shared room or per bed. I really felt like this last week about my unlicensed homes, but then God remembered. I remember the deal I made with him. And then my partners also reminded me, hey, remember, we're not doing this to make money off of the unlicensed homes. We're doing this to make money in the passive income and the real estate. So that way we could pull equity out and then eventually get an apartment complex.
I love that.
And then one of the issues was, right, you could have the perfect systems in place, right? But humans are humans and they always do some dumb shit. It always happens, no matter what happens. Like, you could do whatever, you could have perfect intake assessment, everything, but humans are humans, they make mistakes. So one of our reentry clients got into it with one of our veterans, but the reentry client was a veteran. and brand new client we just took in. He tried stealing the car, and it was just all kinds of craziness
Oh
going on.
man, Grand Theft Auto.
Yes. And what's so crazy is this guy has like one leg. So like you really have to like envision him going in his wheelchair, grabbing the key, and then like it was just like you can't make this up. Like it's just we should really do a what is it?
A Netflix series or something like
Yeah,
that.
some type of series because I don't think people realize like we get a lot of hate in Texas for unlicensed homes, for group homes in general, right? But like there's nowhere else for these guys to go to other than a homeless shelter, and that alone they won't take them if they have mobility issues, right?
Mhm.
There's not enough housing available and they can't afford their own home. So we got to deal with their BS trying to walk off, I mean, roll off. So that was just one of the stuff because I'm just like, out of all the people, what is this guy thinking? So,
He thought he could get away with it, clearly.
yeah.
So you have the unlicensed home. We talked about that. You have the licensed home down. We talked about that. Do you focus on those two, or do you have other things that you have, I guess, under your umbrella as well?
So we also have the offsite day hab that we're gonna relaunch.
That's right. You mentioned that.
One of the things that I was doing when I was a host home, I learned how to do a offsite day hab and job coaching.
Can you explain what a offsite day hab is for people who may not know what it is?
So, offsite day hab is think of it as an adult daycare for people who have mental health or special needs. But you get paid to teach them life skills, how to clean, how to cook. I love it because we just go on field trips all day long, right? Like I
Nice.
look at it like a YMCA camp where we're going somewhere fun today and the government's paying for it. So that's how I look at it. Also, too, for example, we just took a group of guys to the water park, right? And we
Mhm.
got those tickets for free because the water park donated them to us because they love what we're doing. So it's just cool when we get like community support like that, when we help the special needs population and we get like free stuff like that. So low key emailing Carnival Cruise, hey guys, I have this house filled with special needs peeps. They would love to go on a cruise. But yeah, that's what offsite day hab is.
Loop everybody in. Grandma's gonna be like, "Hey, don't forget about me."
My grandma, she lives down the street from me. She lives in our unlicensed home because she's not quite there yet for like an assistant living. Plus,
Yeah,
she don't have no money for no assistant living, and she lives there for free. I don't charge her nothing, but she be trying to run that house like she's the boss there, and it's so funny. But she already has herself a little boyfriend too, so it's all good.
good for her. Good for her. Shout out, Grandma. Very cool. And then, can you touch a little bit about because San Antonio, where you have the unlicensed homes, that is how far is that from you?
4 hours if I'm taking my kids with me, and three
For
hours if I'm driving by
wait,
myself.
4 hours if you're
If I have
taking.
my
Oh,
kids going with me, it's 4 hours because they want to stop everywhere, right? So when I
got
first started in San Antonio, I would take one of the toddlers with me because they were in school. So I would always have a kid attached to my hip when I'm trying to do these homes, but they always want to stop. I have to use a bathroom. I'm like, you're in diapers. What are you talking about? But they just like to stop. So if I'm going by myself, 3 hours.
got you. I thought you were just saying like you drive different whether you have your kids with you or not, and I was like, that's a pretty big difference.
No,
Uh,
I drive the speed limit. I love my minivan. I'm very
there we
old
go.
school.
I like it. Okay, and then what about the ones that are out of state? So let's do Florida. How's the operation set up there? Is it similar to what you have in San Antonio?
So, Florida, we do it like a care home, right? Where we have a live-in staff there for one, and then I have a partner who's my real estate investor partner, and well, he doesn't really live in Florida, but he has his cousin like oversee the homes. We have two homes. One of the homes is a kosher friendly home. A lot of people don't know like this is a niche that you could go after.
Can you explain what that is, please? I don't know what that means.
Kosher. Oh, so it's a Jewish home. All
Okay.
right. And then you're going to laugh at the second home. The second home is a Muslim home, which is halal friendly. I have a very diverse background. My great grandma is from Africa, Angola. She's as dark as the night, but she is Jewish descent. And then on my other grandparents' side. He's Saudi Arabian from Saudi Arabia. And then, so there we go. And I'm also part Latina because he married my grandma in Honduras. And then my other side, they moved to Brazil, met my great grandma. I have a weird diversity. I have like all of the ethnic groups that people don't really like in America. But
You got a little bit of everything.
I do. So that's why people are like, wait, you're black? I'm like, yes, but I don't look like it. But it's okay. But I'm also Latina and I'm also Arabic. So it's all good.
Nice. So okay, so sorry, that was my fault. All right, for the sidetrack. Back to the operations for the Florida home.
Yes. So for the Florida homes, it's I think one of our easiest homes. The care home there, we have 3 clients that are living there. And for the kosher friendly home, you have to have 2 separate kitchens. Because like dairy, meat, like you can't mix them. Very we have to be I'm Christian, so I didn't grow up Jewish, even though we did celebrate like Hanukkah and stuff. It's a weird culture I grew up in. It's all good. So there's a lot of rules over that. But let me tell you though, my Jewish brothers and sisters, they will pay. They pay 7,500 for their own room, and there's 3 of them, right? And then the live-in staff. What's cool about her is
7,500 for a private room.
yes, because it's kosher friendly, Terrence. It's a lot of work you have to go through to keep it kosher. You have to have 2 kitchens. This fork that touched meat can't touch this other fork that touched dairy. Okay.
But is it are they living independently there, or
Yeah.
it's a licensed one? So your staff then is preparing the meals, and they have to, like, that's how you market, is like, our staff is kosher friendly, so you're.
I what's cool is I don't even have to market, right? I only have one. We just get linked up with the synagogue, and they're the ones who it's like their own little networks. And then my partner is like Jewish, so
Nice. That's 7,500 for a private room. I like it.
yes, it's just there's a lot of back end work that goes into it because of the religion, right? And I know he wants to open up more. I'm just like, hold on, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm going on over
So
here.
so your partner that's there, just is he like your operations manager essentially there, since he lives in the
his
area? Or
his cousin is because he doesn't really live. He goes back and forth over the countries. He's a bachelor.
so his cousin, your partner's cousin, is the operations manager, and then there is 24/7 staff there, it sounds like, at that
Yeah,
home.
it's a live-in staff. That's another key ingredient for all of these homes. We have live-in staff, right?
Unlicensed too, or just the
Unlicensed
licensed?
too. I have live-in staff. I have too much anxiety to deal with my unlicensed homes not having a live-in staff, right? Because they could get sick, and what happens if they fall, right? Even so, all these houses have live-in staff. Um and I'm working on trying to use the carnival method. I don't know. Have you been on a cruise before?
I've not gone on a cruise since I was young, but one of my mentors out here just sent me Royal Caribbean's new boat, so I've been looking at potentially taking that one.
Yeah. Terrence, you don't got no kids, right?
Mm-mm.
Ooh, if I was you, I would be on a cruise every month.
Every month, it's that good. I just got back
Yes.
from Mexico, which was amazing. We went to a resort out there, a secrets resort, and that was amazing. So if the cruises are like that, sure,
Yes. And they're
I can
so
do it.
like cost effective too. I love a good bargain, right?
Okay,
Well, back to being sidetracked. Here comes the ADHD part. Sorry.
you're good. I'm all for it.
I've been trying to figure out how to crack the code like Carnival does. Carnival hires people from the Philippines, brings them for 6 months on a visa, and then send them back, and then brings in another load for 6 months, right? So that's something I'm working on in the back end. I have quite a bit of Filipino friends where one of them they run an orphanage, and I'm over here like trying to see how can I sponsor them because these are really good a group of people that very hard workers that just want the American dream to come over here. So my
Right.
idea is keep the ones that want to stay here as an entrepreneur, partner up with them, show them the ropes how to run these homes, buy the
Right.
homes, keep the 20% of each home, and
Right.
McDonald's want to grow it. That's like my end goal I want to end up doing. And you could do the same thing. Everyone could copy this idea, right? I'm very open about everything.
I think it's genius. And I love how your brain works. You're always thinking of like the next thing on the entrepreneurial side of things. I am curious, for myself, what does your live-in staff person do at the unlicensed homes? Is that one of the residents, or is this someone
No.
separate that you have there and they're just there 24/7? Like, what do they do?
Yeah. So for one, I never hire a resident to be a live-in staff. I learned very quickly it's a bad idea. And then I know in Texas regulation, they're going to be changing a lot of regs over the unlicensed group home because we call it boarding homes in Texas. And
Texas has been cracking down on you guys.
yeah, which is good because man, my nonprofit, we have a placement agency, right? And it's all charity. We don't charge any money for placements or nothing like that. Like that was one of the biggest things I wanted to do to give back. APS blows up my phone constantly, shutting down another home. I'm like, "Oh my effing god." So I learned really quickly, like, my live-in staff are not gonna be clients. Like, they need to have a clear mind. They cannot be drug addicts. They cannot be coming off sober living. Like, they have to have random drug tests. And depending on the house and the clientele they're dealing with, they could get paid off of the provider hours, right? Where they'll get paid from being the caregiver of one of the clients to give personal care service.
Got it. So then it's kind of like mixing between like the unlicensed and the licensed side of things a little bit because that part's being billed through like Medicaid or Medicare, right?
Through a home health agency.
Home health
So they'll get
agency.
hired through the home health agency to provide a personal care service to the boarding home.
Nice.
And then we also have it to where, like, I'll rotate them in different homes. So, I try to get them off every other weekend if they need it. And then
Hmm.
another, because I like to do the model of two live in and they share the room. So that way they're not
Hmm.
overwhelmed. All right. Because remember, I run a homeless outreach and I have a little homeless shelter as well. So I get in people who are just fell on hard times and don't have any family. They're screwed and they just want a second chance. And this is their second chance. They could come in, clean background, no drug record. If they have any type of drug habits, I'll send them
Hmm.
to a free detox center.
And then you give them an opportunity to be a live-in at one of your homes. They're making income, they're connecting with other people, and then if they need it, before they even do that, you're helping them get clean first.
Yes,
You got the full package
we
going.
do. And I'm really thankful because I don't think if I didn't have autism, if I didn't have ADHD, I definitely don't think I would be able to think like in that 4D perspective. So,
Hmm. God doesn't miss. Everything happens for a reason, 1,000%. So, what would you say to someone who's considering just getting started? Most people watching this are probably interested in starting a unlicensed group home first. So, what would be some, initial steps that you would recommend for a newbie?
I would definitely say pray about it first. Really
Mm.
pray about it. Really get in your spiritual realm. Get good with God first. Don't put your greed hat on. Only put on your business hat to where you have to make sure the overhead expenses make sense. And don't pigeonhole the population you want to work with. That's what meaning don't say exclusively I want to work with veterans, right? I get that all the time. It drives me insane. I want to work with veterans. Okay, what does that mean? Right?
Right?
Like it drives me insane because there's so many different levels of veterans, right? So you really need to think about what type of clientele you're willing to work with, whether it's not a veteran or a senior. It's more as what type of patients do you have to
Mhm.
handle whoever's coming in that door? Can you deal with someone that's really outgoing that wants to text you all the time or someone that is okay staying in their room all day, right? So if you're expecting like one big happy house and people just coming in your door and oh I can't wait to live here, like just do a reality check. Definitely get a mentor in this because I know I struggled with finding a good mentor. I found one towards the end once I was doing an assistant living, But like with the unlicensed homes and with the licensed homes, definitely I had like a course I took and that was pretty much it. I kind of had to figure it out by myself. Going back, I wished I would have got a mentor because I feel like I would be way ahead in life than I am now.
Yeah, I agree. Any new thing that I'm, getting started in, I always look to have a mentor in place. Like I told you, my thing now that I'm focusing on towards the back end of this year is learning sub two and
Yes.
some of these properties creatively, which is that you already do. So definitely gonna get a mentor in that already in the progress of it, and just keep learning, keep going. I don't want to do this video too long, but I definitely would love if you're open to it to have you come back on maybe for episode two, to where we can dive deeper on the real estate acquisition side of things and how you're doing the McDonald's method and maybe touching a little bit on your shelter setup as well. But I think this was perfect for someone looking to get started in the unlicensed group home just like you did. And then episode two, we can talk about, all right, you did the unlicensed group home. Here's how you can kind of scale it and what you can go into after that.
Yeah, most definitely. Just let me know whenever you're ready. I got you.
Let's do it. Let's go. Evie, thank you so much for hopping on. You're a wealth of knowledge. Really appreciated your time and hope that God continues to bless you and your family and everything you got going on.
You too. It was great talking with you.